Have you ever felt stuck? Truly, utterly stuck. As if your life is on a loop and no matter what you do, you end up in the same place, facing the same challenges, feeling the same frustrations. It's a feeling that can drain the color from the world, making every day feel like a gray, monotonous echo of the last. We often look for change in our external circumstances, a new job, a new relationship, a new place. But what if the key to unlocking a different life isn't out there at all? What if the most powerful change begins not in the world around you, but in the world within you? Today, we explore a simple but profound truth. Change your mindset, and your life will change. And to illustrate this, I want to share a powerful story. This is the story of an old beggar, a rusty ball, and the invisible prison he built for himself. This is a wordy tale. On a busy street corner in a vast city, there lived an old beggar named Canaille. For 20 years, this corner had been his entire world. His life was a ritual of quiet despair. Each morning, he would arrive at his spot, place his old, rusty bowl before him, and wait. His hopes were as small as his world, just enough coins to buy a meager meal, and if he was lucky, a drafty spot and a shelter for the night. Canaille's identity was fused to his circumstance. He wasn't a man who was begging. In his mind, he was a beggar. This was his fate, his unchangeable Latin life. He would watch the successful, well-dressed people walk by and think, they are lucky. They were born for better things. I was born for this. His most prized possession was that rusty ball. It was the vessel for his survival. But it was also a symbol of his limitation. It could never hold a feast, only just enough to keep him hungry for another day. One afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows, something broke the monotony of Canaille's existence. A woman, not rich or powerful, but radiating a simple kindness, stopped before him. She didn't just toss a coin into his bowl and hurry away. She knelt, looked into his eyes, and with a genuine smile, placed a fresh loaf of bread and a beautiful red apple directly into his hands. This simple act of humanity created a dilemma. The bread was too large for his old rusty bowl. For the first time in years, Canaille was faced with a problem that his usual tools couldn't solve. He couldn't put this generosity into his old container. Later that evening, as he ate the most satisfying meal he'd had in years, a thought, fragile as a whisper, stirred in his mind. That bread, it didn't fit. And with that thought came another, more dangerous one. What else doesn't fit? The next morning, Canaille arrived at his corner, but something was different. The seed of a new thought had been planted. He looked at the dirty pavement and thought, this is no place for a gift. He found a discarded cloth, cleaned a small area, and laid it down like a humble tablecloth. Then he looked at his rusty bowl. For 20 years, it had defined the limits of his receiving. It could only ever hold a little. He made a decision that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. He left the bowl by his side. He would use the cloth. The first coin that landed on it didn't rattle and spin like it did in the bowl. It landed with a solid, promising sound. It was a small change, a tiny shift. But for Canaille, it was a revolution. His mindset had begun its journey from, I can only receive what fits in this bowl, to perhaps I can prepare for more. And so the transformation began not on the street corner, but in the landscape of Canel's mind. He started investing his meager earnings not just in food, but in his business. The cloth became a clean mat. He started caring for his appearance, washing up at a public tap. He began to look people in the eye and offer a gentle thank you or a kind word. People began to see him differently because he saw himself differently. He was no longer just a receptacle for pity. He was becoming a person. They started giving more, not just coins, but sometimes food, conversation, even a pair of gloves for the winter. The rusty bowl was forgotten. His world was no longer defined by its small metallic circumference. His new bowl, his new capacity to receive, was limited only by his growing sense of self-worth and his openness to the world. Canel's story, of course, is a parable. His rusty bowl was more than just a container. It was his mindset. It was his belief about what he deserved, what was possible, and what his place in the world was. The day he decided to set the bowl aside was the day he chose to change that mindset, and his life changed irrevocably. So I ask you now, what is your rusty bowl? Is it the story you tell yourself about your career? I'm not smart enough for that promotion. Is it your belief about your relationships? I don't deserve to be loved fully. Is it your view of your own capabilities? I could never start my own business, learn that skill, or change my health. That belief, that self-imposed limitation, is your bowl. It defines the circumference of your life. It determines how much joy, success, and abundance you allow yourself to receive. The world will only give you what it thinks you're prepared to hold. If you present a small, rusty bowl, you will receive small, rusty rewards. But if you prepare a larger table, by investing in yourself, by learning, by growing, by believing you are worthy of more, the universe will respond in kind. You are not defined by your current circumstances. You are defined by your thoughts about them. So take a look at your own life. Identify that rusty ball and have the courage to set it aside. Change your mindset, and I promise you, your life will change.